Mm.
Okay, so hello.
Hello, Heather.
Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, you too.
So to start off with, would you like to say your name and where you are?
My name is Jarinja Thelestam, and I'm sitting in the capital of Sweden, Stockholm. And it's a snowy winter day here.
I don't normally ask about people's names, but I'm curious, what does your name have a meaning? Does it translate to anything?
Yes, it's like it's not a typical Swedish name. I think I'm the only one, and it's my father was he was sailing a lot, and when he was young, he was working at a big ship in the English Channel, and the name of this ship was Jarinja. And then,
Okay.
and so it's normally the other way around, but
Yes, you name the ship after the girl,
yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. But they
okay.
found out that the meaning of it is girl in Hausa, which is an African language. So they thought it was
Okay.
suitable. Yeah.
I was just curious. I mean, I don't know anything about, I don't speak Swedish, right? So I just thought it sounded a little different. But, anyways, okay.
I
So,
met a man once that his name was Jaro, which is boy in the same
mhm.
language. So I've
Oh,
got it checked. Mm.
interesting. Okay. So, the first real question is who are you as a person, as a human being? And that can be anything you want to share about yourself. I mean, values or qualities or passions, whatever you'd like.
Who am I? That's a big question. Um, I would say the first thing that pops up is I'm I like to sort of learn new things. I'm to be in process to I'm curious in doing new things and learning and um, yeah, and I'm thinking now that think I'm quite a good listener and observer, and this is a bit. Oh, now I'm in the spotlight somehow, which is, I mean, it's normally the opposite
Hmm.
way around. Um, yeah, listening. I think core values to me is like compassion and love. Um, yeah, and I have lots of interests. I'm an actress from the beginning, before I became a Gestalt therapist, and yeah, I'm passionate about meditation, yoga, um, mindful self-compassion, um, but also culture like theater, books, and yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. So, where would you say those core values came from?
Um,
Or how do you live them in your life?
yeah, I think it's like with many things that I do, and I think it's from what has been helpful to me that I often want to give to others. So I think actually love and compassion was something very much needed. I mean, for everyone, of course, but um, that I maybe missed a bit as a child. So it's like, oh, get touched when I
Oh,
say it, but I mean, of course, not completely at all. But I think it's like, yeah, from my own needs.
hmm.
I think that's where it's cultivated from. And yeah,
Oh, I think that's lovely. I mean, we all try to fill our needs. That's the way this goes. That's why I'm talking to strangers on the internet because I have a need for connection.
yeah,
So, mhm. Okay. So, mhm. So do you want to say more a bit about where you come from? If there's a particular event or some circumstances in your life that really shaped you?
Um, oh, I think there are many. Um, one one thing was that I grew up in most of my childhood. I grew up in a, how do you say it, commune, I think. You know, we lived several families together
Hmm.
in a big house, um, in a rich area, um, and we were very odd and not like the others around. They lived like, you know, one family in this very big house, and um, we were like, I think at the beginning maybe 12 persons, 3 4 families with grown-ups and kids in the same house. And yeah, I think that affected me a lot. um, I have no sisters or brothers, and that was a way of, I mean, I had people around me, and I would say there was also a lot of love there. So definitely, um, it was very political. Uh, there was a movie here that I saw that was about a commune, and I was laughing so much because I could really recognize this going around in a strange old car, braking all the time, and all the grown-ups had very, you know, long beards and strange clothes, and yeah, and
Hmm.
yeah, that's. But I learned a lot about, I think, working together, um, and I when I got older, I realized that this is really a strange place compared to that. I was really not normal. I felt a lot of shame actually, or yeah, like yeah, I tried to make it more like the others, and which was not possible. But on the other hand, people liked, my friends liked to come to our place because we didn't have, you know, those beautiful things that could break, or so we could be anywhere and play, and there was a big garden, and yeah, and also other adults when my parents were not present. So yeah, and as a parent, I can really think that, or I see now, many advantages as a parent with a child, or that you had, you know, we had took turns with cooking and cleaning and all that stuff. So yeah, it was very practical in many ways. We had these big meetings with big conflicts and discussing things, and yeah, so that has definitely affected me a lot.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm wondering who, like what person or people in your lives have been a significant influence? And it can be, you know, from your early days or it can be more contemporary.
Yeah. Um, hmm. I'm thinking of my grandmother, and also the sister of my mother, or one of them. Our family, both my parents are from Finland originally. They grew up there, and I was born there as well. So my grandmother and the sister was in Finland, and I went there summertime mostly, for Christmas. And they were how was they affecting me? My mother's sister, she was living alone all her life, and she was also very political, but maybe in another way that from the commune where I lived. She took me in a peace march that was from Moscow to Paris, and we just walked a short part of it.
Okay.
I was a kid,
Mhm.
but she's always been caring for me and for others, and um, doing her own stuff. And yeah, I've felt a lot of trust or safety with her, and also my grandmother is very inspiring. She doesn't live anymore, not the sister of my mother either, but my grandmother, she was alone with 4 kids when my grandfather died. And there was a war in Finland, and he was in the war, and then he came home and became ill, and he died early. My mother was only 12 years, and my grandmother was alone with these 4 kids, and she's just, mm, I just loved her. She was so inspiring, and also had this, I'm talking about, love and compassion, and I think that goes for both of them. Um, she was a lot of fun too. Um, but then later, I'm thinking of I mean, giving birth to my children was like, maybe that has affected me the most as an adult.
Mhm.
So they are also like very important to me, and I learn from them. And I think this moment when the child has come out and you looking at each other, and to me, I think this was the first really feeling of unconditional love with someone, and connection. So that's a big event.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm also curious about how you experience yourself, or how you understand yourself as a woman or within your gender.
Mm-hmm. Um, I think that's maybe a difficult question, but um, yeah, I think I have like an ongoing discussion about um, jämställdhet, being like equal,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's been a big shift from when I was a kid. In a way, there was a lot of this equality in the commune, because everyone had to do everything. It was not like there was a woman doing everything, um, but there were that time. I think there was something, um, maybe not the time, but as I remember it, like women were very objectified in a way. Um, so that's something like, I think also Gestalt played a role there to really become a subject, and meeting subject to subject, and um, yeah, and that's something in my work with clients or people I meet, I think that's quite important too. Like, people that have been sexually abused, or just in relations. When I mean, I hear a lot of injustice and stuff like that. So I think it's an important question, and yeah, I have a feeling that there's, like with, you know, the world and what's happening and the environment, that there is so much that to be done everywhere. And yeah, it's it's easy to get stuck in the feeling of I'm not doing enough, or but I'm trying not to get stuck in it, but more that I'm maybe doing small things, or in a smaller surrounding, and that, yeah, maybe that's a drop in the ocean, but still the ocean is
Well, I
made of
mean,
drops.
that's true.
Like, yeah.
That's true. And that is another question, which is how do you use your power and how do you understand privilege in your life?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I feel quite privileged in many ways, and yeah, what pops up when you ask is like, one thing that I friend and colleague started is a project that we just make voluntarily, which is inspired from a American project called Sidewalk Talks, which you know it maybe. It's we are some people. Some are therapists, some are not, but we're not there as therapists, but as humans. And we take some chairs and we just sit down in a park, putting the chairs there and then empty chairs in front. And we have some signs and invite anyone who wants to sit down and talk if they want, or be quiet. And we are just offering listening, or with kindness.
Presence, right?
Sorry.
You're offering presence. You're
Yeah,
being there.
exactly. And yeah, it's too cold now in the winter, but summertime, springtime, and in the autumn, we do this, and I feel it's such an easy thing to do, but it gives so much. I suppose for the ones sitting down, but also to me, and, and I think it's some courage needed to go and sit there. So when you sit waiting, we have one person like asking people to, or inviting people to sit down, and I always watch people walking there, and some just walk pass by, and some read the signs and get the invitation, and they look at us, and then you can see this smile that just, are you doing this? Just what? Me talk about what? And like this. Then some dare to sit down, and some just walk on. But it's wonderful to just see that reaction that obviously makes people, yeah, happy in some
Yeah,
sense.
I suggested, and we didn't do it. It wasn't accepted, but I suggested that we should do that at therapy conferences. Take the therapists and put them in the world, talk to people.
Yeah. And I'm amazed about this, because the idea is that we're just listening. I mean, say welcome and thank you,
Just.
basically. Yeah, just. But I mean, not getting into a dialogue.
Right, it's not therapy.
No, it's not therapy. And it's, I think I've brought something from that listening into the therapy room as well. It's interesting to to realize that I might need to say something, or want, and then if I not don't, just unfolds anyway. I mean, in that
Yeah.
set at least, which
Yeah.
is, yeah, It's like a
And
present.
it's humbling to listen to people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's also like an idea about almost political, that everyone has a story, everyone has something,
Mhm,
everyone has a need to be listened to. And, yeah.
mhm. Hmm, okay. So, one more question for you about yourself, which is about age and how you are experiencing your age right now or this time of your life.
Mm, yeah. I think I like to get older. I mean, I don't wish I was 20 again or something. So I like growing older. And I would say now that I'm sort of in a shift where the older people in my family are some are dying or ill, and my daughters are they still live at home, but soon I guess they are moving. So that's kind of I'm in that age, like in between. So
That's middle age.
that's me. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, uh, maybe in some years, I'm the oldest. Me and my husband are like in a new, okay, now it's just the two of us. What are we going to do now? It's like a new era somehow approaching.
And you look excited about that. That's lovely.
Do I? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think both. I mean, yeah, I'm curious,
Mhm.
probably. And I don't know if I will be excited when they actually move. What
Oh, no, I mean there's obviously there's grief for something that ends, but it's good to be excited about something new,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mm, okay. So switching a little bit, I'm wondering how you came to Gestalt therapy. How did you find that?
I was uh, I was in a course for actors and directors, and we were sort of exploring presence on stage and um, how the hindrances for that, and what is in the way to really be there authentically and present. And the leader of the course was a Gestalt therapist, and we had this one weekend every month, and every second weekend was only Gestalt therapy, and the other weekend we worked with texts.
Hmm.
And after some weekends, I was really drawn into these Gestalt therapy weekends and amazed about what just happened by itself, like it seemed to me, by just being, not acting or doing or performing or and a lot of emotions came up in me and others, and I was just fascinated. And this therapist Marcus, he had a summer course in Estonia, and I went there for the summer, and that happened to be a pre-training week for the Gestalt education. So in the end of the week, um, the leader asked who is interested to start the education, and I just felt my arm going up, and I didn't know like anything about, but my my system, my body just said yes. So yeah, that's something that was not planned at all, and I think
Hmm.
most of the thing that I'm doing now is it's like that. Life just showed
Improvisation.
me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
So you trained in Estonia?
no, not only. It was the Gestalt Institute of Scandinavia and based in Denmark. But
Hmm.
we have different groups, and we had some parts of the training was in Estonia and Finland for those of us who was interested. It was a more Finnish Estonian group, and then it was a more Swedish Danish group. And I actually chose this Finnish group because of my roots, and I felt something. I felt connected with them in a way. So that was I was there, yeah, quite a lot.
Interesting. And what did you find in Gestalt? What did it give you? How did it affect you?
Hmm. I felt like I was really received and met, seen, heard, and that someone was really curious and stayed with this curiosity. And yeah, I think my Gestalt journey was somehow about getting visible in a way, from feeling very invisible to starting to express myself more, and yeah, learning to ask for support as well, and yeah. No, I don't know really what else, but I felt connected also. I think it's this contact part of it that was really important. Connecting with someone and on what unfolds from that.
I'm curious also about the articulation between your work as an actor and with Gestalt. Have you found crossover? Do you use things in different ways?
I think there are connections. I think it's something else with Gestalt that I think I find inspiring, like this not, how should I call it, a not knowing position. Of course, you know a lot of things, but a little bit bracketing them, and like some therapists said, dancing on the edge of the unknown, which I find very beautiful. Like, you never know, but you can find out so much. And I think that's some similarity with an actress. I mean, when I was on stage, and I have to, I don't know, I have the text, of course, and we have frames in Gestalt as well in the therapy room, but what is happening, the contact, what's happening in between, it's like opening up to a process that you don't know where it's going to end. You are exploring. It's also this experimental, or yeah, try different things, and okay, no, this is not helpful, or but yeah. So, and it's about presence, I think, both to be an actress and to be a therapist. I think that presence actually is very healing in itself, if you when you really are there. And then I'm not working at stage anymore, or at least not now. But I'm training medical doctors in having conversations with seriously ill patients or their relatives, or people who are dying. And in that training, sometimes I'm a supervisor, but most of the time I'm acting their patient or
Mm.
relative. So we have some theory parts, but then most of it is actual training where we improvise situations. They choose difficult situations or kinds of patients, or angry or sad or quiet or whatever they find difficult, and then um, improvise, and the supervisor cuts, and you can get feedback from colleagues and from us and from the supervisor, and then try again. What happens, it's also very explorative, how
It's
we are finding.
exploratory.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, thank you. So to find out what happens if I do like this, and
Hmm.
what if I do like this, and more than right and wrong.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a very important and a very safe experiment.
Yeah, that's what we try to make it like a
Because I
colleague.
mean, you don't get to get it wrong.
No,
You don't get a
no,
second chance with a client, with a patient, and a lot of times those situations, somebody does get hurt. So
yeah,
that sounds like very important work.
and
Hmm.
I have the feeling that many of the doctors work, they are lonely in their work. They don't often get feedback from someone, or so it's more trial and error, and they don't have this communication training a lot in the education either. So,
Hmm.
and also this last part of the training is talking about death, or when some patient is dying, like how to address that, and they are invited to actually use the word, the D word,
Hmm.
and try to be. For many, it's not comfortable to do that. So just to explore and find out what happens if I actually do that in
Hmm.
a safe environment. Um, yeah. So
Hmm.
that feels meaningful. So yeah, there are similarities,
Hmm.
I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, beyond that, it sounds like you've definitely developed your own interests in Gestalt work as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
hmm, okay. So I'm also wondering, do you feel like you're part of a Gestalt community? I mean, you mentioned Estonia, Finland, and then the Scandinavian community. How do you experience yourself in community, or do you not?
I definitely have, that's like a small community that I
Hmm.
have very much contact with, and that's my education group. Like we are nine persons left from that group, and we are regularly meeting and
Hmm.
exchanging experiences, and yeah, help each other and support each other in what we are doing. And so that's a very, it's a small community, but it's very much out of from Gestalt.
Hmm.
And then yeah, I mean we have a community. I would not say that I'm so connected with people abroad. I think this what you are doing is a way of making it. It's, I mean, from some conferences we connect, but I think in the Swedish community there has been a group now um, offering sessions to voluntary workers in refugee camp in Greece, for example, and there are these initiatives to more get out in the world, and so in that sense, I think we have a community, and it could be stronger or wider.
Hmm.
Um, at least, yeah, we're working on it.
Hmm. That's
um,
true. So I'm wondering, particularly in your Gestalt work, but if there's another part of your life that you want to talk about, that's fine. I'm wondering what challenges you would say you have run up against.
mhm. mm, the first thing that pops up is um, it's maybe a more personal challenge, but it's related to work because this is what I said, I'm interested in so many things and I love my work. I love my work as a Gestalt therapist. I love this work with the doctors, and I'm also a mindful self-compassion teacher and becoming a yoga teacher. And so sometimes a challenge is to uh, take care of myself enough, and giving myself, rest and balancing work and free time so that I can really be there. Sometimes I think I have to sort of, okay, how am I going to do this? And making a plan that I'm not doing too much
Mm-hmm.
work. And now I had COVID, as you know, before
Mm-hmm.
Christmas. After that, I've been so much slower. So that has somehow helped me to do less and
Mm-hmm.
one thing at a time. So, but this is something I think a challenge, constant challenge for me. And then in the work, I'm thinking of, there are a lot of challenges, but I'm thinking with couples, I find something, I think sometimes it's not like that, but sometimes one in the couple is not really willing to commit to the therapy, or maybe not even willing to be there really. And that's, I think it's very challenging because I can see that the other one is really, really wants to. And yeah, and that's of course something you can address, but it happens then that they fall off, or they, one of them commit more, and that's a challenging part, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Okay. And what about the other side of the challenges, the highlights or the peak moments or some of those favorite stories? Is there a moment that comes to mind as something very significant for you in your Gestalt life?
Um,
It can be a client, a training moment.
yeah, I don't know. It's not like a special moment pops up, but when you see that a client is, um, that moment when it clicks, or something is integrated, or ah, just it's such a beautiful moment. I
Mm-hmm.
think. Um, but the process to see someone sort of become a flower, or growing, that's, yeah, I think it's the best thing you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, I think I like to work with groups as well. I think there's a power in this, that the clients can recognize themselves in the others, and the group is doing, you can be more lazy as a therapist in one way, and the group is uh, hopefully working for each other. And yeah, I remember one week actually when I was working with a group in Estonia, and many of them were actors and directors, and um, they most they didn't speak. Some spoke Swedish, but was mostly English and Finnish, and which I don't understand. But that week was very creative, and there was a lot of fun, and yeah, I was sort of amazed, like how creative people are when you get, yeah, I don't know what makes it, but safe environment and group dynamic maybe. And that was a week like I was just, oh, I feel blessed to be in this part of
Mhm.
this.
Hmm.
Um,
And it's funny, when you were talking, I was thinking one of my favorite moments with clients is when their language breaks down, and someone is just like so overwhelmed by something new or something that's coming into them. They just and so when you said the languages, I think that's amazing. I love that when it's something beyond language.
yeah.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
then, yeah, that's another thing that I haven't told, but I'm also working with uh, physical Reiki healing.
Hmm.
So I was thinking when you said beyond words that that's another way that I work with clients sometimes if they are interested, like more physical touch, and sometimes that's shortcut. You know, you can talk a lot about content and sometimes then you put just a hand on stomach and oh, it's grief that I'm feeling, or it's yeah. And
Hmm.
sometimes you need to talk a lot, of course, about something. So it's not that anything is better or worse,
Hmm.
but um, yeah, I find that can be helpful. And also sometimes with people, clients that are sexually abused, that can be, you know, you have got too much or too little of touch, or, and you can, this can be a healing experience that you can control. Like, yes, you can put a hand on my toe or ear or my hand,
Hmm.
get a new experience, healing experience of respectful touch. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. I think almost there it's almost more about relationship than about touch sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. So I guess my last question is, what's next for you? What, project are you developing, or where are you interested in going? And also where you think Gestalt can go.
Um, I think Gestalt can go more into the world. I hope that the world is ready. But I'm thinking of this um, working with volunteers at this refugee camp, for example, um, offering cooperation with church. I'm offering sessions for healthcare people now during the pandemic, and yeah, I think Gestalt can sort of be more out in the actual society. So we are not just sitting in our
Hmm.
rooms, and that I hope that I wish for that. And personally, I am. I've just started to a training to become a yoga teacher. So that's my next step. Um, yeah, that's something.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Um, Not that I come to think of right now. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you, then. It's been very, very nice to meet you. And is it okay with you if we leave it here?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.